أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah, the one, the only, the first, the last. SubhanAllah, Alhamdulillah. Welcome to episode 4 of the Ramadan transition. This is the preparation. We're not going to get too much into the journal today because this is after that step 2, after the take a break. And I want to give a disclaimer to our brothers and sisters that are watching. I know that I'm delivering this transition process in a 30-day window because of I'm condensing it to 30 days because of the brevity of Ramadan. We only have 30 days. But trust me when I say this process it's a much longer process. And so as we're discussing transition, understand that it may not be that you're going from step 1 to step 2 in our 7-step process the next day, or step 3 to step 4 in one day. This is a transition. This is a process. And the Philadelphia 76ers became famous with the phrase that said, trust the process. So I'm going to remind you guys this, to trust the process, trust your transition process. Wherever you are in your transition, trust that process. Trust in Allah. Trust that Allah has a great plan for you. I was reminded by a young brother last night that Allah's promise is true. Allah's plan is perfect, and Allah is always right on time. And this is a great reminder and a great time to remind us while we're in our transition. You know, step 1 is to officially retire from that thing. Step 2 is we're going to take a break, kind of get away from it. Right now, kind of a little bit into step 2, after step 2, before we get to step 3, it's important to remind ourselves of why we're here. Everything that we're doing, everything that we're saying, everywhere that we're going is getting us closer to Allah. Like this challenge, this test, this transition that Allah has given us is only going to get us closer to Him. And I want to remind myself and remind you of this. This is not Allah punishing you. This is not Allah punishing you. This is Allah preparing you for what you asked for. That's what this is. We asked Allah for the best. We said, Allah, I want the absolute best in this life. I want the best in the next life. And so Allah is preparing us for the best. It's just that our challenges and our tests and our obstacles are unique. So everything that we're doing in our transition is preparing us. It's not a punishment from God. It's a preparation. And so we talked about transition step number 1, which was to officially retire. Yesterday we did step 2, which is to take a break. And now this is kind of us getting back to our reality. So in a transition, let's say if you're transitioning, you got a divorce or you're separated from your spouse. You went and you took a break, you took a vacation, and then you come back and then reality hits you. You go into that closet and you see half of the things gone. You're watching the show on Netflix and you laugh and then you go to turn and that person's not there anymore. Or you had a death in the family, close death in the family, someone that you bonded with, and you go to send them that text and you forgot that they're no longer here or that person is no longer in our life. This is the point where we remember Allah the most. This stage right here, after we've taken that break, as we prepare for step 3, as we prepare to move forward, this is where we remember Allah the most. This is where we dhikr. This is where we do our best to mention Allah's name as much as we possibly can. And I wanted to start with an ayat of Qur'an. I'm going to read the translation, and I'm reading the Oxford World's Classic, the translation by Abdul Halim. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but I'm going to read from this translation of the Qur'an, and I'm going to go to Surah 9, the Surah of Repentance, and ayat number 40. And it says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the translation, even if you do not help the Prophet, peace be upon him, God helped him when the disbelievers drove him out. When the two of them, meaning Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when the two of them were in the cave, he, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessing be upon him, said to his companion, do not worry, God is with us. And God sent his calm down to him, aided him with forces invisible to you, and brought down the disbelievers' plan. God's plan is higher. God has the power to decide. So surely God speaks the truth. So in that, that's a reminder to all of us that when we're in these transitions, And it feels like we're all alone. We feel like there's no getting out of there. We feel like we're being punished by God. No, it's not a punishment. It's a preparation. So let's remind ourselves in this instance, hey man, I'm being prepared. I'm being prepared. I'm being prepared. And again, something that I just keep on repeat. A brother reminded me of last night. God's promise is true. God's plan is perfect, and God is always right on time. And so as we prepare this part of the transition, this is the difficult part. This is when you play football for 15, 18, 20 years. For some of the professional players, they play football for 26, 27 years. But for most of us, we've played like for 12 or 13 years. This is that year where, you had been working out last year, trying to get signed or trying to get a professional contract. This is that point in time where you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't know if I got that anymore. Like, football was my life. Football was my life. Every day from the age of 12 until 28, really 29, I woke up every single day with football as my goal. Like, I was going to do something to get better at football. Then one day it just wasn't there. It just disappeared. It just was not there. So I fell into a deep hole because I was like, everything I did, my intentions were to get better at football. Like, even when I was at home with my wife or with my children or hanging out with my parents, I thought that made me a better football player. So I did all of this stuff to be better at football. Then all of a sudden it just wasn't there. And there were times where I thought, man, is God punishing me? And I was like, no, he's not punishing you. He's preparing you. Because this transition that you're going through, Hamza, every player before you went through. And every player after you is going to go through it. But by you going through it, now you can share your experience so that now they can have a different mindset, a different perspective. This is not God's punishment. This is God's preparation. And so I want to share my screen with you guys so I can show you why in our drawing in the transition remix world, this is why we have right after step 2, after taking a break, this is why we have that long dip like we're on a roller coaster. Because this is the deep dive. This is where, and I'm just being honest and being frank, this is where depression lives. This step after you officially retired, you said, hey, I'm done. You announced on social media, hey, I'm done with this. Then you took a break. You took some pictures. Hey, I'm happy with my life. I retired. On Friday night, hey, I retired. I'm good. I'm about to party. That Sunday night meal, that Sunday night dinner, and it's just you. Man, that hits different, man. So there's going to be a time of I'll say of preparation. But again, when you're going down, what goes down must come up. So you're going down with velocity, but understand you're going to come up with that same velocity. And so in that's where it's important that we remind ourselves we're being prepared. We're not being punished, we're being prepared. This is also a time where, as a friend, as a brother or a sister or an ex-teammate or whatever it is, this is when you reach out to that person that you know is going through that transition and you say, hey, man, just thinking about you, I'm here. But understand, they might not text you back. They might not text you back, call you back. They may go ghost on social media. But guess what? While you're still keep sending those texts every now and again. You're not pestering them. You're just letting them know that they're not alone. And for me personally, I felt like that's one of the most important things about being in transition is knowing that I'm not alone. Like I love to hear from one of my ex-teammates, college teammates, just say, hey man, Hamza, I'm thinking about you. Hey man, I haven't seen you at the mosque lately. Just wanted to say, hey Hamza, we had a Washington State function up here in Seattle. We didn't see you, but just wanted to see how you were doing. And they don't know, like, they might not know it, but I'm all the way down there. I'm in despair. Like, I think there's not, like, football was my life. But now I understand that I was being prepared. I was being prepared. I was being prepared. And so I'm here to relay that same message to you that in your point of transition, in the event that you find yourself in a downward, you're going down, remind yourself that you're being prepared. God's promise is true. God's plan is perfect, and he's always right on time. And so with that, I went to, I don't know if you guys can see my t-shirt, but I think on IG you can see my t-shirt, but that's why I wore my championship t-shirt today. It has the mics, it has Mike Jackson, has Mike Tyson, has Michael Jordan. Because this point of your transition, when you're down like that, this is where champions are made. This is the difference. This is when everything around you and everyone around you probably is like, man, you just need to stop. You need to quit. Man, God willing, you have people in your life that are telling you, hey, man, I'm here to support you. And whatever your decision is, I'm here to support you. But to me, this step, right after you taking your break, step 2, going into step 3, preparing for your plan and your transition plan and your schedule, this is where champions are made. And so you're a champion. I'm going to remind you again, you are a champion. You are a champion, you're a champion, you're a champion. So let's have a championship mindset, okay? And so with that, it's the glorious month of Ramadan, and it's the month of the Qur'an. When you come off that break, again, when you feel like you're all by yourself, this is when the remembrance of God, this is when it's the most important. This is when you kind of get away from some of the songs. Like, we listen to sad songs. Like, we'll feel down and start listening to all these sad songs and say, hey, that's my story. That's my story. That's my story. No, that's not your story. Like, you can relate to a song, but I would say this is a very dangerous place when you're in a downward, when you're going down. Again, you're just taking a break and this is a new reality. It's dangerous to attach your transition to a certain song. The reason why it's dangerous is because that's someone else's transition. All they're doing is being creative through their transition. So while they were down here, they recorded this song, and that's what helped them get out of it. But for us, we don't know if it could have the same effect. So I think it's very important to be very delicate with that as far as attaching your transition to a song or to a theme song. This is the month of Ramadan. This is the month of the Qur'an. So I say attach yourself to a surah, because the Quran is the book of transition. The Quran. This is a book of transition. And so I would say think about maybe there's a surah that you've heard that you're like, man, I want to learn more about that surah. This is the time to do it. When you feel like, hey, man, I feel like I'm down. I feel like I need something. Open the Quran, and whatever page that it lands on, just read it. And this is the Mus'haf, so this is in Arabic, okay? But read it in your language. So I have my Arabic, the Mus'haf there, and then I have the translation. So I would say just open it. Wherever you are in your just open it. Just open it and read. And there's a special surah, and this is what I really wanted to take some time today to talk about was there's a special surah called Surah YaSeen. Surah YaSeen, to me, that was the surah of transition. That's the surah that really helped me. And with Allah's permission, I'll read just a little bit from Surah YaSeen. I'll read just a little bit from Surah YaSeen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على الصراط المستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون والسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. So that's the first 19 ayats of Surah YaSeen, and then now I'm going to recite this passage, Surah YaSeen. That's very emotional for me, starting from ayat 20. And we'll talk about the story after this, but this particular part, it just has an effect on me. And so with Allah's permission, I will continue to read just a little bit. So just bear with me here. Again, talking about transition and getting a new soundtrack to the story of transition. And let's make the Qur'an, which is the book of transition, let's make the Qur'an our soundtrack for transition and going through our transition. Because I guarantee you, your transition is in here. Like what you're going through, what you're experiencing, your transition is in here. So I'll pick back up in ayat 20. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجر وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون صدق الله العظيم. Surely God speaks the truth. So that passage from in Surah YaSeen from ayat 20, ayat 30, it just hits me in a different way. They say that it hits different. I hear a lot of people say, man, it hits different. There's parts of the Qur'an that hit different, and this is one of them. Surah YaSeen is very special. I love, and Surah YaSeen and Surah TaHa, the way that it starts, and I'll briefly go through it, is in the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Again, I'm reading the translation. I'm reading the Abdul Halim translation of the Qur'an, but it starts with the letters YaSeen. YaSeen. Wal-Qur'an al-Hakim. Wal-Qur'an al-Hakim. By the decisive Qur'an. You, Muhammad ﷺ, are truly one of the messengers sent on a straight path, with the revelation from the Almighty, the All-Merciful, to warn the people whose forefathers were not warned, and so they are unaware. Like, I just love that start. Like, this is a law, and that's why I'm saying read and recite, listen to Surah YaSeen, because immediately, by this decisive Qur'an, you are truly one of the messengers sent on a straight path. Like, when I listen to that, The Qur'an was revealed to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's revealed to you. Like the Qur'an was revealed to you. So when you listen to Surah YaSeen, you're like, wait a minute. You're truly one of the messengers sent. Like Allah sent you. Like this is your Qur'an. This is yours. So Allah sent you. Like Allah is swearing by this Quran that He sent you as a messenger. That's why you're being prepared. Name one prophet that wasn't prepared to be a prophet. Even Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he's an infant. He still was prepared. Allahu Akbar. And then I was talking about these two surahs right here. Again, I recommend really listening to these and reading them specifically in your transition. Surah 20, TaHa, and Surah 36, YaSeen. Let me find Surah TaHa because it's very similar. The start. The beginning of Surah YaSeen is YaSeen wal Qur'an al-Hakim. YaSeen, by the decisive Qur'an. Like you've been sent. Like you're a messenger. So if I take that as, okay, I've been sent, like this is reassurance. So this is Allah reassuring the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In this, He's reassuring us too. Like He's reassuring us in our transition to say, Hamza, I got you, don't trip. So that's how I take it. And then Surah TaHa, I'll read the first few verses. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. TaHa. ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات الأولى الرحمن على العرش استوى له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى. Sadaqallahu al-Azim, surely Allah speaks the truth. So then the translation of TaHa, Surah 20, like we said, YaSeen was YaSeen wal Qur'an al-Hakim, like Allah swears by the Quran in the second verse. And then look at Surah TaHa. Again, we're reading from the translation, the Abdul Halim translation. In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, TaHa. It was not to distress you, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that we sent down the Quran to you. Look at that. Allah is telling us, you're in transition. You, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you, Muhammad, you, Amina, you, Miriam, you, Hamza, you, Hussein, you, Abbas, you, Sheba, you, Hajar, you, Saida, you, Charles, you, Mike, you, Sada, you, Yvette. Like you're in transition. But I didn't send this Quran to distress you. Like I didn't send you this Quran to cause you any worry or anxiety or depression. Yes, you are anxious. Yes, you are depressed. But this is it. This is the key. This is the key to transition. This right here. This is it. It was not to distress you that we sent down the Quran to you, but as a reminder for those who hold God in awe. Like you want to meet your Lord. I want to meet my Creator. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare you to meet me. This is a revelation from the one who created the earth and the high heaven, the Lord of mercy established on the throne. Everything in the heavens and on earth, everything between the heavens and the earth, and then everything beneath the soil belongs to Him. Subhanallah. Look how beautiful that is. Allah says, the heavens and the earth, everything in the heavens and the earth, everything between the heavens and the earth, and then everything underneath the soil. So think about that as it relates to your transition and your depression. What's above your depression? That anxiety. Man, I don't know what the future holds for me. Guess what? Allah created that. Allah is the Lord of that world. That belongs to Him. Everything inside of me, between the heavens and the earth, we're between the heavens and the earth. We belong to Him. And then everything underneath, everything that people can't see. They can't see that I'm this close to. I'm just this close to the edge. Allah says that belongs to me too. Like Hamza, you belong to me. This is reassurance. Allah is telling us, Hamza, you belong to me. This is just Allah is just come close to me, Hamza. That's it. You're going through this transition because you just weren't as close to me as I want you to be. That's all this transition is. The transition that you're currently going through right now is just Allah saying, come nearer to me. That's it. That's every transition. Every transition leads to Allah. Every transition leads to Allah. Every transition leads to Allah. You're in transition because Allah wants you to get closer to Him. And you say, Hamza, but I'm so close to Allah. I read my 5 salah every day. I'm nice to my parents. I read the Qur'an. I go to the mosque, and I still feel like this. I still lost my job. I still got a divorce. I still lost this money. I still lost my house. I still. Allah is saying, closer, Hamza. Closer, Mustafa. Closer, Yusha. Closer, Ilyas. Closer, Yahya. Closer, Jacob. Closer, Joseph. Closer. Come closer to me. That's all this transition is. That's all this transition is. Transition is just us getting closer to Allah. Because what is the ultimate transition of this life? Is death. You're going to be closer to your Creator. And so that's what this is. This transition is preparing us to do what it is to get us closer to Allah. That's it. That's all the transition is. As difficult as it is, as much as we don't want to say goodbye, as much as we want to stay comfortable here, we don't belong here. I don't belong in this house, or I don't belong in this city, or I don't belong in this profession. Hamza, I was an NFL player. I was an NFL player. You think I didn't want to leave? You think I wanted to leave the NFL? You think I still don't think, man, I think I could still get it in. I love football. I don't think people understand how much athletes love their sport. I really don't think you guys understand that, those who are not athletes. But we've dedicated our lives to this from the age of 12 to 28. Every single day that I woke up, I did something to better myself in football. Every day. And then it was just no more. But in all of that, Allah is just telling me, Hamza, I'm preparing you for something great. I'm preparing you to get closer to me. So I accept that. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it challenging? Yes. Does it hurt? Absolutely. But there can be no growth without pain. There can be no growth without pain. And transition is growth. Transition is a constant state of growth. That's what transition is. Because you're growing closer and closer and closer to your Lord, to your Creator. Every transition ends with Allah. And guess what? All of the transitions you've had before the transition you're currently in, you are 100%. You have a 100% success rate. Because Allah is the goal. Allah is at the end of every transition. And so with that now, I want to share my screen again. Because now we're going to get to the journal. We didn't get to the journal today because really just wanted to kind of set the tone as far as, let's see, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm going to go full mode so that, now this is the fun part. This is the fun part of our transition. Visualization. Visualization. Okay, now, Hamza, you said that I'm in this part of transition. I'm about to prepare. I'm maybe in a downward. I feel like I'm going down. But that down, everything that goes down has to come up. So Allah is gearing you up to prepare you for something greater than you could ever imagine. So let's imagine the greatest thing. This is what I'm asking you to do today. Before you put your head on the pillow, sometime today, go to a quiet room, go to a corner of your house, go to a park bench, do something to where you can just be in peace and ask yourself, what does peace look like? I want you to ask yourself these questions. Hamza, what does peace look like? I'm sitting there because we all want peace. We want love. We want respect. Okay, what does that look like? What is being a believer? Like, I believe that Allah's promise is true. I believe that Allah's plan is perfect. I believe that Allah is right on time. Okay, what does that look like to you? What does the end of this transition look like? Whatever that transition is. Take a minute, go to a quiet place in your house. Again, when you get the time to where you can be undisturbed, think about, ask yourself, what does peace look like to me? What does success look like to me? What does a believer look like? What does the end of this transition look like? Like, whatever it is. Think about that and then close your eyes and visualize it. Visualize it. What does peace look like to me? What does peace look like to me? What do I want at the end of this transition? Whatever it is, do not, and this is what I'm going to tell you guys this. Don't shortchange yourself. Do not despair of the mercy and the power of God. Don't do that. Go for the stars. Shoot for the highest point. Whatever the ultimate peace looks like, whatever the ultimate success looks like, whatever you want the end of your transition to look like, visualize it. In all of its grandeur, in all of its luxury, in all of its peace. Visualize it. And try to get some of those details out of it. What's detail? If peace to me looks like I'm moving to a new city or new state, maybe me and my family, or I'm getting married if I'm not married, or if I'm married and we're going to start a business or we're going to have children. I'm going to volunteer at the local food shelter. I'm going to help to build a water well somewhere that needs water. Like, whatever peace looks like, whatever success looks like to you, visualize it. After you spent 10, 15 minutes visualizing, get a piece of paper, get a journal, and write it down. Write it down in as much detail as you possibly can. Write down everything that you visualize. At the end of that writing, you look at it, you read it over, see if there's anything you left out. And then you take that, and on the bottom of it, you write bi-idhnillah, with Allah's permission. You write with Allah's permission on that paper, with God's permission, my visualization, what I just dreamt up in my head, what I just wrote down, with God's permission. So I said it out loud, I visualized it, and I wrote it down. That's 3. I did 3. And then I put with God's permission. Now I'm going to pray about it. Now I'm going to work for that vision. And God's going to do his part. With God's permission, God's going to do his part. And remember, everything you tell your brain, it believes. Whatever you say out loud is a prayer to yourself. I guarantee you said something out loud that you didn't think was going to take, and it took exactly the way you said it. Because everything that we say out loud is a prayer. It's going to come true. So let's start saying out loud something successful. What do we want it to look like? Instead of, man, I don't want this to happen. Well, what do you want to happen? Let's start saying that. They say, man, you got to speak it into existence. Because everything that you say is a prayer. It's going to happen just how you said it. As long as you say it, as long as you believe it, as long as you work toward it. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Visualize what success and peace looks like for you, and then work for it. Because the next step is step 3. the next step is that visualization that we just did, that what you said your success looks like. We're going to create a schedule and a plan so that you can work toward your goals, so that you can work towards your desired results, so you can work towards your objectives, again, with God's permission, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And that's where we're going to be. That's where we're going to leave off today with Allah's permission. I thank you so very much for being here. This is something that, as you can see, Allah's given me this. And if I didn't leave the NFL, I wouldn't have it. And then the way that I left the NFL, if I didn't leave when I left and how I left, I wouldn't have transition. Like, I feel like Allah gifted me with transition and the way of transition. And so I'm doing my best to record these and give them to you, because you're probably going to watch this a few times. You may come back to this the next time you have a transition, because life is a series of transitions. It's a series of transitions until we make the ultimate transition, which is death. And so I pray, with God's permission, that every transition that we're in, we can remember Him, we can remember God, and that He is pleased with us. So thank you so very much for being here. I look forward to reconvening again tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. Ramadan Mubarak to the beautiful believers. Ramadan Kareem. Treat yourself today. After you visualize what success looks like to you, after you've written it down, you get up, you shake it off, you take a little walk, go get you some ice cream or something. Treat yourself. Let yourself know that, hey, you're special and you're doing a great job. So thank you guys so very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Please forgive me for my shortcomings and mistakes. If I said anything that was negative or of error or of ignorance, that is from me, and I apologize for that. If I said anything that is good, then that is strictly and truly from God. Alhamdulillah, all praises are due to God, the Most High, the Most Merciful. So thank you again. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and be blessed.